So this story comes from my uncle, and I want to be clear, this is not the kind of guy who makes things up. He's practical, logical, the type of person who has an explanation for everything. Or at least, he used to be that way. After what happened at that farmhouse in Nebraska, he doesn't really talk much anymore. But he told me this story once, and only once, and the way his hands were shaking the entire time he spoke told me everything I needed to know about whether or not he believed it. It was 2019. My uncle had inherited a farmhouse from a distant relative, some great somebody he'd barely heard of. The property was located about 40 minutes outside a small town in rural Nebraska, and when I say rural, I mean there is nothing out there. No neighbors visible from the porch. No street lights. Just flat land stretching in every direction, and this old two-story farmhouse sitting in the middle of it like something the earth was slowly trying to swallow whole. He drove out there in late October to assess the property, figure out whether to sell it or fix it up. He planned to stay for 2 weeks. He made it 8 days. The first few days were completely normal, uncomfortable, sure, because the house was old and drafty and every floorboard had its own particular complaint whenever you walked across it. But nothing alarming. He kept himself busy during the day taking notes, measuring rooms, making repairs where he could. It was at night that the house had a different personality entirely. Something about the darkness out there in rural Nebraska is different from any darkness you've experienced in a city or even a suburb. It's total. And in that total darkness, sounds carry weight they don't normally have. So when it started, he wasn't sure at first whether to take it seriously. He probably should have taken it seriously from the very first knock. It started on the 4th night. He was lying in bed, maybe half asleep, when he heard it. 3 knocks on the back door. Slow, deliberate, evenly spaced, like someone who had all the time in the world and wanted you to know it. Knock. 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 Not frantic. Not loud. Almost polite, in the most unsettling possible way. He grabbed his flashlight, went downstairs, swung open the back door. Nothing. He stepped outside and swept the light across the yard. Flat, empty land. No car. No footprints in the soft dirt near the door, and he checked specifically, got on his knees and checked. The ground right outside that door was completely undisturbed. He told himself it was the house settling, old wood contracting in the cold night air, and he went back to bed. The next night, same time, same 3 knocks. And the night after that. Every single night at 2 a.m., like clockwork. 3 slow knocks on the back door. And every single time he opened it, nothing was there. By night 6 he decided he needed proof, one way or the other. He set up a camera, one of those basic motion-activated cameras pointed directly at the back door from the inside, angled to capture whatever might be standing on the other side when that door moved. He went to bed and he waited. The knocking came at 2 a.m., same as always. 3 knocks. He didn't get up this time. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening, and then went back to sleep. In the morning, he pulled the footage. The camera had triggered. He sat down at his laptop and he watched, and his stomach dropped completely. There was no one at the door. No shadow, no figure, no movement in the yard beyond. But you could see the door physically shaking with each knock, like something on the other side was slamming against it with real, deliberate force. Whatever was knocking had no intention of being seen. He should have left that morning. Looking back, he'll tell you that himself, he should have packed his bag, gotten in his truck, and never looked back. But he didn't. Maybe it was stubbornness, maybe disbelief, maybe some part of him needed one more piece of evidence before he could accept what his gut was already screaming at him. So he stayed one more night. That night, he didn't even make it to 2 a.m. He was lying in bed just after midnight, fully awake, listening to the silence of the house, when he heard it. But this time, something was different. The sound wasn't coming from downstairs. It wasn't coming from the back door at all. The 3 knocks, slow, measured, unmistakable, were coming from inside his bedroom closet. The closet that he had checked when he arrived. The closet with no window, no second entrance, no way in or out except through the door that was currently sitting 3 feet away from where he was sleeping. Knock. 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 He described the feeling as every single cell in his body going cold at the exact same moment. He said he couldn't move for what felt like a full minute. He just lay there, staring at that closet door, waiting for it to open. It didn't open. The house went completely silent. And then, because he is either very brave or very stupid, his words, not mine, he got up, crossed the room, and opened the closet door himself. Nothing inside. Just hanging clothes, a bare bulb, the smell of old cedar. He stood there with his flashlight shaking in his hand, and that's when the light caught the back wall of the closet, and he saw them. Scratches. Covering every inch of the interior walls, floor to ceiling. Thousands of them. Tally marks, scratched deep into the wood, grouped in sets of 3. So many they overlapped, layer after layer, like whoever, or whatever, had been counting something for a very, very long time. He almost missed what was carved at the bottom, carved into the wood at the very base of the closet wall, pressed deep like whatever made it wanted the message to last forever, were 4 words. He read them with his flashlight, and he said the moment the meaning registered, the back door of the house, 1 floor below him, across the entire building, knocked 3 times. Your turn to answer. He didn't pack his bag. He grabbed his keys and his phone and he walked out of that house and he got in his truck and he drove. He didn't stop until he hit the first gas station outside of town, where he sat in the parking lot under the fluorescent lights for 2 hours before he felt steady enough to call anyone. He sold the property as is the following month, never returned, never hired anyone to go back for his belongings. The buyer was a developer who planned to tear everything down anyway, which my uncle says is the only genuinely good news to come out of the entire experience. Whatever was in that house, he hopes it went with the wood. But here's the part that still bothers me, the part one think about late at night when I'm lying in bed and the house makes a sound I can't immediately explain. I asked my uncle what he thought the tally marks were counting. All those sets of 3. All those thousands of marks scratched into the closet walls over what must have been years, maybe decades. He was quiet for a long moment and then he said he thought they were counting the knocks. Every set of 3 marks for every night something had stood at that back door, knocking, waiting, keeping track. And if that's true, it had been waiting a very long time before my uncle showed up. The question is what it was waiting for someone to answer. And whether, somewhere out there, the knocking has already moved on to a new door.